Why is enough beautiful? I am Natalia Kirilieva and I will elaborate on Wabi-Sabi and the art of living lightly. My presentation argues that Wabi-Sabi, which defined by its appreciation of imperfection, impermanence, simplicity, naturalness, and avoiding excess, offers a valuable mindfulness-driven philosophy for contemporary life, despite the possible challenges in a materialistic, fast-paced world. The term Wabi-Sabi represents an evolving concept. Wabi originally referred to the loneliness of living in nature, but later evolved to denote a positive aesthetic centered on humble, rustic simplicity and satisfaction with little. On the contrary, Sabi describes the beauty that comes with age, time, and inevitable deterioration. The patina that tells a story, such as the moss on a stone or the faded color of wood. The essence of Wabi-Sabi is perhaps best captured by kintsugi. That is the traditional Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with powdered gold. That is where the expression gold in the cracks comes from. Instead of viewing a break as an endpoint, kintsugi treats the repair as part of the object's history, turning the flaw into a point of beauty. This practice actively rejects the need for flawless perfection and celebrates the object's life and resilience. But the main practice that is deeply connected to Wabi-Sabi as an aesthetic and philosophy is the tea ceremonies, and it's about finding beauty in natural wear and aging. A significant person who managed to reform tea ceremonies, according to the philosophy and aesthetic of Wabi-Sabi, is Sen no Rikyu. He was born in 1522 in the wealthy seaport of Sakae, near present-day Osaka. Though his family was in the fish trade, he turned away from commercial life, seeking self-understanding. Fascinated by Zen Buddhism, as it teaches that people best find spiritual meaning not through complex thoughts, but by doing simple things with intense thoughtfulness and concentration. Rikyu decided to focus on the ritual of drinking tea and promoted an alternative set of values to the money-focused Japan of his era, where for the tea rituals, the tea houses, called chashitsu, had been large venues for displays of status, and for utensils, they used the important Chinese ones that were popular at the time. However, Rikyu preferred the old and rusting Japanese utensils and a tea room that was tucked into a hidden garden. The path leading to it was the beginning of the spiritual ritual, as the person had to pass through the garden and go through the trees, the stones, and the door of the tree house itself was so short that people had to bow in order to enter. Upon entering, the person was meant to forget the outside world and solely focus on the ritual itself, starting from the boiling of water for the tea and finishing with the tea drinking itself. The idea was to leave all the satas behind. The philosophy was not only applied to tea ceremonies, but to various other fields such as literature, art, and in general just the way to view the world. But how to apply it in everyday life? The key aspect is to embrace minimalism and simplicity and stop looking for perfect things. Integrate Wabi-Sabi by decluttering to essentials, thinking about worn object stories, and acquiring new objects mindfully. That leads to the another step, which is to avoid excess, as it directly contradicts the aesthetic. Having more than enough is not beneficial because of impermanence and the possibility that all materialistic objects could be suddenly gone. The key to Wabi-Sabi is to focus on something more important, like the mind. By focusing on the inner self instead of on the material world, the person will acquire a stronger and more peaceful mind. This philosophy extends to daily rituals, urging us to abandon the pursuit of perfectionism in favor of mindful and present awareness. This principle means undertaking everyday tasks such as cooking, cleaning, or commuting with the same deep and quiet focus that Sen no Rikyu applied to the boiling of water during the tea ceremony. This intentional deceleration is essential for cultivating a stronger, more peaceful mind, offering a necessary contrast to the accelerating pace of the contemporary world. However, as my critical analysis must address, the limits must be acknowledged. Wabi-Sabi contradicts popular materialism, which drives many economies. Modern economies rely on planned obsolescence, a strategy where products are intentionally designed to fail or break more often or become outdated quickly, thereby forcing consumers to purchase replacements instead of fixing the old ones. This mechanism generates a strong cultural push for the constant newness. Alternatively, Wabi-Sabi champions for longevity and natural aging of objects. By putting durability over novelty, the philosophy essentially functions as an act of economic resistance that fundamentally challenges the consumerist principles driving our economy. Typically, the appeal to continuously buy new things, just to never use them again and store them somewhere, imprisons people into this kind of mindset. And that mindset targets consumerism and overconsumption. It ultimately leads to buying objects just for the sake of owning them, not because they are actually needed. That forces us to ask, are our possessions enriching our lives, or are we enriching our possessions? There is a real difficulty of balancing simplicity with modern necessities, and the slow pace directly contrasts with the fast-paced lifestyle we often lead. Therefore, accepting that having more than needed is cluttering the mind, and accepting the simplicity can provide a sense of freedom and self-awareness. I have always been fascinated with all things and their stories, and owning and using clothes, for example, or other items that should have been thrown out long ago. But that leads to the question, why should I buy something new if the old one serves me well? And what is the purpose of owning multiple objects that have the same purpose? For me, there is absolutely no practicality in this. And here is my bibliography, and thank you for the attention.